Hello, my name is Anna. I'm a digital fantasy artist, and today I'm going to talk about how I actually achieved a semi realistic style. I have a lot of people telling me and asking me, how did you find your style? And how do you make it realistic to a point where it does look like an actual picture, but then at the same time it's like still kind of cartoonish and really like unique to you? And I have talked a bit about my opinion on art styles. I don't think they actually exist. So if you want to check this video out, I'm going to leave it here about how to find a style. So after you've watched that, you can come back to this video. And as you know, my opinion is that art styles don't actually exist. And it's just something that naturally flows when you try to paint something. It's going to look like whatever you want it to look like because it's how your style is, and you are the only person who can paint like that. And that is basically how I developed my style. But I'm going to talk with exact timelines. How did I actually achieve this style, and what was I doing in this timeline that led me to the results I have here, as you can see. So I just wanted to talk a bit about how I started. I have screenshotted my DeviantArt right here, and it's basically, I think most of when artists started posting, they started posting on DeviantArt because they use it to be a really great platform, especially for commissions. And I actually started painting cats because I was super into warrior cats. I was only like 11 when I started painting. So yeah, cats were my first experience with semi-realism, and I think it really helped set a foundation for when I started painting humans. As you can see in the first cat painting I put it there, I was actually not even that good. And I think it's just important to show how a semi-realism style, it just doesn't come like naturally to you. You need to actively decide that you want to go towards more realistic features and more realistic light, and that's basically it. And I don't want to say that semi-realism is better than cartoon or like people who work with really beautiful line work. I just want to say that it's something you need to decide early on. It's not just because, oh, I started painting and I naturally got driven into semi-realism. No, it's something that you need to choose. And it was always something I was attracted to, and I think I just subconsciously always was thinking in the back of my mind that I didn't want to have such a cartoon style. I did want to study more realism, and I put that into my studies. And as you can see, my cat paintings, they got better. And I think I started just playing more with textures. You can see how the fur developed into something more like plasticky to something that looks more like fur. And I always had the realism lights in the back of my mind. But then my interest in cats slowly drifted away, and I was like, I want to start painting humans. And this was the first human I painted. She isn't giving anything. Okay, like it was black and white, and I was trying to study a picture, but like I got all the anatomy wrong, the proportions wrong. Everything looks just really bad. But then I started like sketching, and I saw that my sketch was bad as well. So I knew I had to work on fundamentals, and I need to know how to work with anatomy. Like, it doesn't really matter which style you want to have. If you don't have your anatomy right, like you can't bend into cartoon styles and you can't do anything. So I started really like copying pictures. I used like the Line of Action website where they have like free models for you to sketch. And I really started consistently sketching and painting studies like statues, and I did play a bit with color studies from movies. And you can see that in the end, I was actually trying to put my style into the studies and not so much the studies. But I was still pretty unhappy with the results, and I started actually sitting down and studying everything. Like, I was watching tutorials on YouTube. I was trying to find every single free resource I could find. I did buy, I think, some Gumroad courses from my favorite artist, but they were like the cheapest things I could find because I mean, we're all broke, right? Especially when we were art students trying to learn art at like 15. So I do recommend watching tutorials and courses, but not overspending on them, because then you basically just buy a course and then you just keep rewatching it, but you don't actually paint. So the focus is on consistency and painting over and over and over again. And that was my result by the end of this period. Like, I think I learned so much more about anatomy and colors, and I was always trying to put a bit of my style in it, but sometimes I stopped painting for like months on end, and it doesn't help. So I need you to be consistent to get a semi-realism style, okay? I do have a video on consistency, because then I started getting the hang of it after a few years practicing. And if you guys struggle with consistency, I have a video that I think it's my most viewed video in this channel, and it's really good about how to be consistent, and I think it helped a lot of people, so I'm going to leave it here if you want to watch. But the trick here is to paint like at least once or twice per week and keep doing it. Like, try to mix references and studies and your own ideas. Like, if you really connect to your art, you're going to want to paint it. Like, every single one of this period that I did, there's a story behind. So like, I painted a bit about my traumas or happy pieces, but like really connecting with yourself in this process, where like in this timeline, my art wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't bad. And I really let my freedom go through it. Like, I didn't want it to be perfect or super realistic. I wanted to bring my own emotion and my own happiness into my work. So try to express yourself and be more free in this period right now. After studying a lot, we sometimes get a bit lost and we think like, why am I doing this? So it's really important to bring back your passion for art and try to make more personal pieces, especially if you want to build like a series of artworks where there is like actual meaning behind each work, and it's not only you practicing anatomy or light, and it just brings your creativity to a next level. And that's basically what I did in this period. Like, I kept getting really good references and watching tutorials, but I try to bring my own like feeling to it, and this really helped my style come to life, because I understood that I could try new things. For example, I painted a dragon with like fire, so I could practice fire and lightning. And I had never painted a dragon before, and I realized like I could literally just do these things and it still looks okay. So this is like 2 years after the artworks that I just showed you, and I just want to tell you how it's important like to perfect your skills, but then keep bringing your own creativity to it. So I kept challenging myself. Like, I watched skin rendering tutorials, hair rendering tutorials. I try to make more like compositional choices. Like here it's kind of diagonal. I try to add in backgrounds. So in the like, to build a semi-realistic style, you needed to know how to paint every single element. For example, metal, fire, backgrounds. Like, you just need to keep challenging yourself, even if in the end it doesn't look as good. For example, here I made a Saltburn study, and I think I did it in under 3 hours. So get something you like, for example a movie, and try to make a study of a scene of it. You know, that improves your skills so fast, because it forces you to solve new problems. Here I made so many draw in your styles, and it's so good to make these challenges because you can learn how someone else paints. So it's like the only time where it's acceptable to make a master copy. Of course you can credit the person, etc., but it's supposed to look like what the person did, so you can study your favorite artists with their draw in your style challenges, which I feel like improved my art so much more. And again, I'm always trying to bring emotion into my work, like trying to connect with the pieces I make. So it's not only about studying others' artworks, it's about trying to make something that is meaningful for you. For example, I played with designing a new character, and I made an OC. Like, I feel like OCs really inspire people to draw. And then I made more fan art of books that I like. So it's really important to motivate yourself to paint by really finding things that you like and using lots of references. For example, here it was a portrait study I did of a character from a book of Akota, and it really helps inspire you, and at the same time you can also study semi-realism, because it's literally like getting a photo and studying it to the end. Like these artworks, it took me around like 6 hours to make, so really take your time studying and motivate yourself by making it a fan art or a personal piece or a piece of your OCs. Like this is a scene from a book. You can see that I'm always challenging myself, so I'm trying to make castles, I'm trying to make backgrounds, I'm trying to have props like a knife or play with fire. This is another draw in your style, so I really could study the person's technique of painting fire and painting metal. So it's about pushing yourself. And then I started getting really unhappy with my art, and I was like, I need to go back to only studying, because it's important to bring your emotion to your pieces. But if you can't sit down and just purely study a picture, then art is not for you. For example, this was a study of a Monet painting. Like, it was insane for me to think that I could study Monet, but I did it. I just searched one of his no studies and I did my view on it. Here's another study that I did from a picture. I was really trying to study silk and how it drapes on the body. And this is my focus, like making focus pieces. This, I actually did an AI study that I just wanted to prove that real artists are better than AI, but it really helped me as well, how the light is, how the metal is. Like, here are hand studies. And this don't need to take 10 hours like the other pieces. You can make them on maximum 4 hours. I did this one, I think 2 hours. Here is me studying water. So like, it's really important for you to just sit down and just study without bringing your imagination in it, because then it's a moment for you to only study and really like absorb what you're seeing in the image, and then adding your imagination to it. So it was really a time where I just sat down and I studied a lot so I could upgrade my skills, which is something I really recommend. If you don't know how to study, I have a whole video about how I study these exact pieces with speed paints, so I'm going to leave it here as well. But yeah, I feel like with semi-realism, you really need to understand how life works and how the reality is after you bend it on your semi-realism style. So just sit down and try to make the exact same piece, like try to make a replica on your study, okay? That's how I improved. And then I stopped a bit on the studies and I came back to making commissions and fan arts, and you can see how the study really made me better at everything. Like, I knew how things looked in real life and I could bend it to my will and create a unique style on top of that, where I don't need to feel forced to actually paint everything realistically. Like, I can make things fun. For example, a bunch of glitter and like stars. This is not super realistic, but I wanted it. Or maybe I can bend the light of the window. Like, this is not super realistic, but I think it looks okay, you know? So it's about learning the rules and then bending them. But it's a mix of studying, and obviously in all of these pieces, I had so many references. So you need to know when to get the right references and how to study light. But that's basically it with the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave all your questions down below. And please don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!